How does photography preserve the historical representation of indigenous realities? We decided to focus our research on an analog photograph taken by the Bailey Bros in 1894. Photographs allow a moment in time to be preserved, recognized, then examined to gain insight on the forced assimilation, segregated communities, and the historical trauma that are experienced by the indigenous people. This photo reveals the colonial issues and indoctrination of white Christian ideologies upon Native youth, and signifies Canada's dark legacy of Indigenous residential schools.
So, Indian residential schools operated in Canada between the 1870s and the 1990s. Children between the ages of 4 to 16 attended these schools. It's estimated that over 150,000 Inuit, Indian, Métis children attended these schools, and the last school was closed in 1996.
It was first opened in 1863 as a all-boys school, and the first year it had around 43 boys. And then it expanded each year and opened a new school for girls as well, and that slept in separate dormitories. And then that was all run by the Catholic Church. And then it closed down, and then the government picked it back up and started running it alongside the Catholic Church, but funded by the government.
St. Mary's was a residential school for the local First Nations people. It was opened by a father named Leon Fredquit, and it was in 1861 February. An iron worn cannon traveled upstream onto the Fraser Valley River, and the cannon had 12 other men other than the father in it, and they had just came from a mission from France for the obligates of Mary Immaculate. In fact, father was a member of the OMI, and they were meant to preach the Gospels to the poor. And the main goal for them was to neutralize the native Aboriginal people. So they were, of course, looking for a place to set up the school for the first native people. And their main goal, what they say they wanted to do, was to save them from not only Satan, but from also the violent and alcoholic excess people that were there for the gold rush. In 1883, the Canadian Pacific Railway requisitioned this land from Mission, and the school was then moved uphill to where is now known as the Fraser River Heritage Park.
The very first religious plays appeared due to the Crusades and the spread of Christianity. These plays were often used as symbol and action teaching due to the lack of education or a language barrier. This directly connects to it being used as a tool of assimilation in residential schools teaching Bible stories. The very first Passion play itself actually originated in 1634 in a small German village called Oberammergau. It was said to have begun because the Black Plague was spreading through Europe, and so these villagers swore to perform this Passion play every 10 years if they were spared.
Since these schools were run by Christian churches, there were major influences of Christian ideologies and ritualistic disciplines that took place there. Not only did this affect the students attending the schools at the time, but it affected generations to come.
This was the last residential school that closed in Canada.
The crucifix has been represented throughout our history numerous times, and in every single depiction it's seen as such a sacred item, and everyone pictured in these paintings alongside the crucifix is seen as humbled and praying towards it.
This is an analog 18 by 24 centimeter black and white photo with sepia tones from an albumen print taken by the Bailey Bros, a photography firm made up of two brothers.
What it is it's the dramatic reenactment of Jesus' last week of earthly life leading up to his crucifixion. This play became internationally renowned and spread, but also had problematic representations that focused on Eurocentric values depicting Jesus as Nordic and demonizing Judas as stereotypically Jewish and an othering. The Passion Play has deep roots in colonialism, Eurocentric values, and its use as a teaching or assimilative tool.
This photo taken by the Bailey brothers, where all of these indigenous peoples must have been in such confusion seeing this passion play performed in a language they didn't understand. Seeing these images side by side is just, yeah, just a very stunning juxtaposition.